Good morning, folks. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Rangers Reviews morning briefing after Rangers beat Dunfermline on Friday. Feels like quite a few days ago because it was now, Derek. We're going to be bringing you up to date with a few different topics as ever and having a good chat about them. I'm joined just by Derek Clark today. Derek, how are you this rather grey and mundane Monday in Glasgow?
Yeah, it's grey down here in Warrington as well. No, I'm good. Like you say, Friday seems a lifetime ago. It seems strange not having a Rangers game on a Saturday or a Sunday, but big fan of Friday night games. More of them, the better, especially when you get a victory. If you lose, it's a different matter, of course.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm to remind everyone as well first, Derek, about the superb £1 a month offer for the first 6 months of the Rangers Review that ends today. 6 months of our coverage for just £6 over 6 months, which is the price of, I don't know, maybe how many newspapers is that, Derek? Broadsheets? 3? 2? Certainly not many. So you can head over if you've enjoyed what you've seen, folks. You can head over to therangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Get that offer by the end of today before it ends, and keep up to date with all in-depth quality Rangers coverage. Okay, we will crack on to speak about Friday. You were there, Derek. Rangers 5, Dunfermline 0. It was a relatively comfortable game, but I think it needed to be a relatively comfortable game. Tell me your main takeaways from it.
They were under a bit of pressure going into the game, of course, losing their last three. So the magnitude of the game was even bigger than what it was, and they really need to put out a statement victory, and they did that from the off. I mean, 8 changes, wholesale changes, and the players that came in, especially Calvin Bassey, who we'll touch on, just tore it up. Basically, it was scoring just after 2 minutes. John Lundstrom, good to see him getting on the score sheet as well, and then from then on it just set the tone. It was 4-0 at half time, going on 10-0. Of course, Kemar Roofe scores the penalty in the second half, maybe taking the foot off the gas slightly, but understandable considering. But job done, 5-0. Albeit you need to caveat with the fact that Dunfermline are a lower league side, and by all accounts Peter Grant has a lot of work in his hands. I'm not too sure. Well, I know the Dunfermline supporters aren't too enthused by him so far. So he's got to work hard to try and win those supporters around, but they've got their own problems to seek. But Rangers can only turn up and play the team that's in front of them, and they certainly did that. Blew Dunfermline away and march on to the next round.
Yeah, I thought there was lots of impressive things about it. I thought Joe Aribo, his assist for the fourth was just fun, wasn't it? And you've seen Kemar Roofe certainly enjoyed it as well, but I thought he was excellent. I thought Hadji too, his assist for Wright, just that crisp pace of pass was something that I think when Hadji's not on the side, sometimes we can lack a wee bit. But the player that I love watching the most in a Rangers shirt often, and I think is just, if we can get a full good season out of him, will make the biggest difference, is Kemar Roofe, because I think he's such an intelligent football player, regardless of whether he's playing as a central striker or off the right. And it's great now, Derek, that despite there will still be a couple of European suspensions for Kamara for one more game, I think, and Roofe, I think, will miss both ties. I think I'm right in saying that. It is great now that we're finally seeming to get everyone back together on the same page. And, as you say, what was that, 7 changes at the weekend? But that was still a really strong team, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and I echo that with Kemar Roofe. I mean, when he's on song, when he's fit, he's absolutely superb player to watch. You see when he won the penalty as well, he just uses that instinct to just get in before Dorrans and win the penalty, steps up himself and unleashes it right into the corner, giving the goalkeeper no chance. His first goal was a beauty as well. Yeah. Great strikers finish, power right into the back of the net, no messing about. So if they can keep him fit. Of course, when he arrived at Rangers last season, he never really had that pre-season with the club, and he was injured for a bit of time as well. But when he was on the park and when he was fit, you could see that he was a class above. So it'd be great to have him fit and firing in all cylinders. So I think Aribo was another one. Like you mentioned, that his assist for that goal was absolutely filthy. Really, it's only he can do that sort of stuff. Joe Aribo, and it's a joy to watch when he's in the mood. I think everyone came out with sort of top marks. John McLaughlin, to be fair, he had one thing to do in 10 minutes before the break. But apart from that, no save to make. You could stick me or you in goal, I think, and it wouldn't have made an ounce of difference there. But another clean sheet to rack up to his ever-growing collection.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got some comments. Billy and Stuart and Dave. David saying good morning, and a couple of questions here. We'll start with Billy's question. If we win, and there's a capitalised if, which I think I sense trepidation, rightly so, in Europe. If we win by a comfortable margin on Thursday, would you leave a few key players behind the following week so they're fresh for the Celtic game? I mean, personally speaking, I don't know if I'd leave them behind. I think even on Friday, you've seen, you've Morelos and Kent and Tab on the bench. I think that's such a big game for the club in terms of that they've budgeted for the Europa League. Even if we were to, take a comfortable lead over in the away tie before the first Old Firm game of the season, I think you look at that squad the starting 11 on Friday. Gerrard spoke in his press conference before, and he was really insistent. You'll see how seriously I'm taking this with my squad selection. He can still make 8 changes, and really justifiably, you can't disagree with him because there's such a strong depth at Rangers now. So I'd be inclined to play a similar team to Friday if indeed we do manage to win by a considerable margin on Thursday, which I'm not, despite the difference in rankings and all these things, you just never know in Europe. But then I wouldn't be surprised if your Pattersons and your Bassey starting their away tie. But again, very hypothetical, Derek. And personally, I was quite insistent that Rangers will get past Malmo, so I've got to temper my predictions this time slightly.
Yeah, I think the team, I agree, the team that won on Friday should have enough about them to win both legs against Armenian opposition. The only real thing that slightly concerns you is the travelling and the distance coming back, especially when you've got the Old Firm game. Although Celtic are away in Holland, I know it's nowhere near the distance, but they have some travelling to do as well. So it's not as if they have a free week or whatever. But the players of Steven Gerrard and the coaching staff will know how to utilise the players, who to use when, and who to sort of keep up wrapped in cotton wool for that Celtic game at Ibrox.
Yeah.
But it's a squad game, and I think, like you, having not watched Alice Kirk, I can't say I'm clued up on Armenian football, but that Rangers team should be good enough to beat them.
Well, I'm going to be watching a little bit of them over the next couple of days, Derek. So I'll come back to you on the Wednesday morning. Yeah, come back to the Wednesday morning. That's my briefing. Got another comment here saying the morning briefing is a convenient time for us in Australia. Keep up the good work, lads. I'm sure it's, well, to be fair, it's not too early here. It's 9:30, but maybe a better time in Australia to have a little beer with it. Yeah. Another comment that leads us into our next point quite nicely, Derek, which is speaking about Callum Milligan. Speaking about the performance of the starting 11 against Dunfermline, he thinks that should have been picked against Malmo. Then we would have had a chance of making the Champions League playoffs. I mean, there's a lot in that. But I think what's interesting is that you do look at the starting 11 from Friday, and the player that we want to speak about specifically was Calvin Bassey. Now, Bassey, I wrote in my preview piece that I actually wanted Barisic to start, even though he hadn't had a great start to the season because of his delivery. And Bassey went and told me where to go with 2 excellent assists. But I don't think that's something we've seen quite enough of him. And, he's not had a bundle load of chances, but he looked excellent, I thought, on Friday night. We all know that he's a really efficient and powerful runner down the left. But I thought just the timings of his running, his link-up play as well, was because something I think that's so synonymous with that 3 of Kent and Barisic and Aribo or Kamara is they're so in sync that those little synchronized moves down the line or those runs are found with such ease. But I thought Bassey, just the timing of his run was excellent. His second assist was just, you could not have created a chance if you tried, and he certainly impressed me. I mean, what was the reaction to him on the ground? Was a lot of excitement. Yeah,
there certainly was in the press area, and also the fans, of course, 41,000 in Ibrox on Friday night. But he was everyone's man of the match, and quite rightly so. I was impressed. I seen him at Brighton, and then of course he had a good performance against Livingston as well, and maybe perhaps a bit unlucky to be dropped to the bench with Barisic coming back in. But you could understand it, of course. But Barisic is not hit the ground running for whatever reason, and Bassey's come in, took his opportunity and put in a man of the match display. I think the one thing that was it sort of levelled at him as his delivery isn't the best. But he's clearly been working on it. He said that after the Dunfermline game as well. He's been working with Bonner to make sure that his deliveries are a bit better. And by God, we've seen how good they were on Friday night. Like you say, that delivery for Hadji again, where you could have scored that. It was so good that it just had to.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible in the air, mate. I'm terrible in the air. So
but not just that. I mean, he showed great anticipation and to get the ball over to Lundstrom as well for the first goal from the cutting it back for the byline. There's a couple of other sort of deliveries into the box. He had one over to Lundstrom and he knocked it down to Nathan Patterson, who volleyed it, and Mehmet pulled off a terrific save to tip it away. So many deliveries. I think every single one reached a Rangers player, and they were just whipped in. He wasn't sort of taking a touch and floating it in, giving the defence a chance to head it clear, which Rangers were sort of guilty of against Malmo. They were just getting whipped in. Dangerous, vicious balls, and even Patterson had one in the first half as well. I think he had a decent game, but just to overshadow it with Bassey because he was just absolutely fantastic, and certainly should have put himself in the reckoning for Thursday. I'd play him based on Barisic's sort of indifferent form so far.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Well, that's good. We're on the same page with that. I think just the last comment on the fullback discussion there, I think the interesting thing that we have now is because the fullbacks are so formative to the attacking lineup, and they play more of an attacking role than, either deep central midfielder in terms of the positions they pick up and, the amount of assists we see from those positions. I think to have variation is really important. And I think it's something that we'll maybe see utilised a little bit more if we are struggling to break teams down. Maybe there is an argument time and again. Perhaps we bring on Bassey because the type of positions that they pick up now, up and down the line, is pretty synonymous with an attacking player, especially at home. And you look at that as well with Patterson. I mean, I remember when Tavernier first came in. I'm thinking of goals like, do you remember? I think it was 2 he scored away against Alloa, where he just took the mick and he was just dribbling through players and playing very high. And his game's matured and he's now I think more comfortable, probably a little bit wider, and obviously his final ball is of such a high standard. But I think what Patterson offers is those infield runs and is such a good one-on-one skill set. So I think you look at those two positions now, and you've got such variation. And and again, to prolong the point, you go back to Motherwell 1, Rangers 1 away from home last season, and I don't know if you remember the game where Motherwell actually sat off Rangers fullbacks, and you had they were basically coaxing them into crossing into the box. It was the game where Itten scored in 70 minutes or something. It was a strange game, but because if you had Bassey and Patterson in that game, perhaps that's an opportunity to say, okay, if you're going to give us a space, we're going to use this space, and then we're going to beat you one-on-one. Not that Tavernier and Barisic can't, because I think they also have very good one-on-one skill sets. But I think just to not be predictable in that area, is of real benefit to Steven Gerrard. So. Yeah, great to see Calvin Bassey have such a good performance on Friday. We will speak now, Derek, about Livingston in the quarterfinals. Pretty good draw for Rangers. I mean, I don't know what more there is really to say. Livingston haven't given Rangers much trouble at home since they returned to the top division. They were a very stuffy opposition on the first day of the season, but again, this is a game, I guess, if Rangers hit their ceiling, then they'll be confident of going through to the semi-finals, and great to get another home draw in the cup, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't really ask for anything more than that. Livingston, of course, beat them on the opening day of the season. You'd expect Rangers to have too much for them and progress to the semi-finals. There's not much else you can say about it. You should expect to make... the cup competitions this season have to be better. The manager said that. The supporters all know it. The performances in the Cups have not been good enough, but they can't take teams like Livingston lightly. We've seen St Mirren and St Johnstone last season. When they do that, you come a cropper. So I'm sure that they'll be making sure that the team do enough to make it into the semi-finals. And looking at the other ties as well, it's pretty much every Premier League side that have made it through, more or less. Is it not? Apart from Raith Rovers, of course, who beat Aberdeen. Which was a coupon buster, but Yeah, Rangers should be. You put your mortgage on them reaching the semi-finals. That's for sure.
Okay, and finally, we're going to speak about Niko Katic. I've got a piece up this morning on the Rangers Review asking about, discussing his Rangers future. Not from a sense of necessarily is he going to be sold, or because I think those reports turned out to not be true, but more from a sense of he's missed a year. What is the best thing for him this season? Does he have a Rangers future? There's Callum Milligan asking that. Could he be heading for the door? I mean, I think that if you read between the lines, I mean, I actually cited your piece and my piece, Derek, when you're speaking about George Edmondson, and you said when George Edmondson left a month ago that it was an indicament or vindication of Rangers' ever-improving standards. You could say the same for players like Jordan Jones and Greg Stewart, all players that maybe in 2019 were making a wee bit of an impact in 2020, but now with standards improving, so does the standard of player required. Now, I don't think Katic falls in. I don't think it's as black and white as that, because I think he's played such a formative role of the journey in the first couple of seasons up until now. And there is, I speak about the limitations of his on the ball ability, and you see that with his XG build-up contribution is considerably lower than Goldson's and Balogun's and Hollanders, for example. But also, we haven't seen Katic play in this team. Remember the last team that Katic was playing in for Rangers was the one that was sneaking a 1-0 win away at Ross County. He did sell 2 goals away at St Johnstone soon before that, but I don't think I think a loan is the best for all parties, because there's still value in him as a player. He's an excellent one-on-one defender, I think, and also very, very good aerially. But also, I just think I tend to stray away from this kind of type of conversation because it's hard to measure. But I think you look at his mental strength, and you think back to that game when Rangers beat Celtic 2-1, and he gave away the penalty in the first half and went up to actually score the winner. In the second half, you look at the way he adapted to Rangers as a young man coming over right away and helped us to get to the Europa League group stages and put in a number of big performances. So there's something about it. I don't think it's the end of the road for Niko Katic and Rangers whatsoever, but I do think a loan in a team that has a lot of the ball, that he can get back up to speed after what was a horrendous injury, would probably benefit both parties. I mean, what do you think about it, Derek?
Yeah, I agree. He needs games, Niko Katic, and at the moment, all things being considered, he's probably 5th choice. So he's not going to get a look in at the moment. So it's vital for him and Rangers for him to go and get regular games elsewhere. I think there was a couple of clubs mooted back in Croatia or actually a couple of months ago, I'm sure, but that's went a little bit quiet. But he's certainly not going to come back into this Rangers side as it is, unless there's a spate of injuries or what have you. Yeah. So it's vital that he goes out and just gets games, because he has been out for so long. It's going to take him, I would say, about 10, 20 games to get up to pretty much the same level as he was before he got the injury. I seen him. It was great to see him come on against Brighton when in that pre-season friendly. A few heavy touches, which was understandable, but just great seeing him back on the pitch again. But for his own career, he has to go out and get game time. A loan would be more beneficial as opposed to, I think, a permanent transfer, which was incorrectly suggested yesterday. I seen. I can't see the benefit Rangers maybe just selling at this point in time. I think it's best just to send him out on loan, see how he does, let him come back, then assess him from there. But like you say, he had such a big role to play in Gerrard's tenure at the start of that campaign. So unfortunate with that injury last year. It's just one of those, just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, but you just hope that he can get back to the same sort of level as he was and get better. Of course, because like you say about Edmondson, he's going to have to improve. This Rangers side have improved. It's asking a lot for him to improve as well. But I think the loan spell somewhere else, maybe even another Scottish Premiership side, might be beneficial, just to, because Scottish football, of course, is vastly different to any other league in the planet. So I think a loan certainly would be advisable, and I think we can see him going out on loan before the window closes.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up there. Just finally, a reminder that the £1 a month offer is ending today. Superb starting offer for the first 6 months. 6 months for top-class Rangers coverage. And as I keep going on about the price of about 2 broadsheet papers, Go to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to take advantage of that, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed with the content. We will be back tomorrow. This week we're going to have lots of preview stuff for two big games in the Europa League and away up at Ross County, as well as a variation of other content as ever. You can keep up to date with us on all of our socials, and we will be back tomorrow morning to bring you up to date with all the latest Rangers news. Okay, thanks for your time.